Hi, welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Krista and I am a vintage reseller. I sell on Etsy and I sell on Poshmark. Most of my items that I sell are on Etsy. I've had that store for about 10 years. And I just started my Poshmark store, so I don't sell a lot on there yet. I'm still kind of trying to build that store up. So today I thought I would share with you what has sold so far this week, what I paid for it, and what my total profits were. So let's start with Poshmark. I actually sold something on Poshmark, which I don't know why, but it's so exciting to me to sell something on Poshmark. Probably because it's new, so when I do sell something, it's sort of exciting. Okay, so I sold these green Lee overalls. Wrong way. Sold on St. Patty's Day, so maybe the person was thinking of green. Anyway, I bought these in a lot of like 5 pairs of overalls and paid $3 for this set. The overalls sold for $29 on Poshmark. So then my overall profit, after cost of goods and Poshmark fees, my overall profit was $23.20 on those. Okay, that's the end of my Poshmark portion. Next is my Etsy. So let's see. First couple things that sold, these two things sold together. I sold a pair of cranes, and they are, they're like a shell, but I also think they might be plastic. Maybe sort of look like shell. Anyway, cranes are kind of in. For a long time, I didn't think they were, but they are. I paid, let's see, I think I paid $10 for the set. They sold for $88. And then the same person bought this wall pocket, studio pottery. For those of you who have watched my videos before, you know I love studio pottery. This was done by a woman, a Pacific Northwest potter. Her name was Karen Stoner, and you can tell because it's signed right there with an elongated K. It's funny because I just sold something by the same potter a couple weeks ago. She used to live in the Pacific Northwest, and I think she now does a lot of pottery out of North Carolina. And this was some of her early work. This piece, I think I paid about $8 for, and it sold for $49. So with my fees and cost of goods, my overall profit on those 2 items, I guess technically 3, was $84. Okay, let's see. The next thing that sold was this brass candelabra. I just bought this a couple weeks ago. It's really pretty, kind of has these red accents. I know I showed this on a What I Found That Day video. I bought it, it sold for $59. I paid, I think $3 is my guess, because I bought it in a whole lot of items. So with cost of goods and shipping and Etsy fees, my overall profit on this was $36. Okay, so the last thing that sold, again, more brass, so popular. Who knew? Like 10 years ago, nobody was buying brass. Now it's everywhere. Okay, so a pair of brass pheasants. I thought they were kind of cool. These took forever to sell. But I think part of it, because they're kind of cool. I mean, they're very cool. The person who owned them was named Bert Buck. And that is some kind of a Washington phone number. I'm not sure, but they're written in black marker. I actually tried to get it off. A lot of times you can get it off with rubbing alcohol. It didn't work. So I just disclosed it so the buyer knows that is there, and you don't see it when they're sitting down. Anyway, those sold for $55. With my cost of goods, I think I paid like $5 for these. Etsy fees and shipping. I'm just kind of guesstimating on my shipping because I didn't charge shipping for these. My overall profit is $30.50. Okay, so that is what I have sold so far this week. Today is Tuesday, and I will do another video later in the week to let you know, hopefully, what has sold later on the week. So a couple of other things have sold. Today's Thursday. I sold a couple things on Etsy, and then I sold one thing on eBay. So sometimes, like once in a while, I will do a couple sales on eBay. If I've had something for a long time and I think, oh, I can just kind of get rid of this and pass it along. So sometimes I'll put things on eBay. Anyway, I don't do a lot on there. I used to. When I first started, I sold everything on eBay. And over the years, I started to get more and more frustrated with the whole auction situation, which is when I decided to go to Etsy, which is just a store situation, which I have enjoyed much more. So the first thing that sold this past couple days was this stuffed dog. So cute, right? When I first looked them up, it looked like they did really well. And it's funny how that happens. And then I'll look 2 weeks later and see almost the opposite. He didn't do that great. I think I paid a couple dollars for him. He's actually in okay condition. His head swirls, but his tail has been, you can see, was detached and sewn back on, which definitely affected the price. Anyway, I think I paid, like I said, I paid a couple dollars for him. He sold for $20. So cost of goods and eBay fees, excuse me, my total profit on that was $14. Okay, so now we're back to Etsy. That's my short eBay situation. So this little guy sold. If you watched my video from a couple weeks ago, you saw that I was very excited about this. Found this in Palm Springs, so sweet. There was some damage to it, little chip there, and it kind of affected its state of being. It's a little bit wobbly. So I priced it accordingly because of its condition issues. I paid $5 for it. It sold for $38. So if it were in better condition, I would have obviously priced it higher, but that's okay. So with cost of goods and fees, my overall profit on this little guy was $27.20. The last thing that sold was an Arabia planter. And these I have sold Arabia planters before. They look fairly basic, right? But you can just kind of tell when you see them that it's probably going to be something good. It's marked Arabia on the bottom there. It also has a base. It's got a condition issue right here, a little bit of a, it's not all the way through. It's just kind of a surface chip. I paid $25 for this, which at the time I hesitated, like $25? I didn't want to do it, but it was Arabia. Like, how can I not? And I also I bought it at an estate sale in Seattle, and I was really frustrated with this sale because it had all this great studio pottery, but it was just priced at sort of this uncomfortable, these uncomfortable prices that I didn't want to pay. But then I went downstairs and found a couple of things, and the Arabia planter was one of them. Again, $25. The most I think I've paid for an Arabia planter is maybe $8 to $10. But anyway, that's okay. And it was a larger one, so that's all right. It ended up selling for, I had it at much more. It sold for $112, but I have some coupons that get sent automatically, and it took a 10% coupon. So anyway, it sold for $112. Like I said, I paid $25, and I have, I think, $5 shipping on this. So I had to add for shipping and my fees. So overall profit on my Arabia planter was $55.80. Okay, so here are the last remaining items that sold at the end of the week. So one of the items was a ceramic bell. I don't have it because a friend of mine bought it, and she picked it up for me when she visited me at the market this weekend. So I don't have a photo of it, but I can show that towards the end of the video. It's just a little ceramic lady with her hands up in the air. And this friend of mine just got accredited to be a yoga master or a yoga teacher. I don't know how to say that. So I think this bell really spoke to her. I did give her a $40, so it ended up selling for $40. Here's the thing. I paid a little too much for this guy. I saw him and I loved him, and I paid $20, which was way too much, and I knew it, but sometimes you just have those impulse buys, right? I'm sure some of your resellers out there who are watching this have done the same thing. So I paid $20 for it. With fees, my profit was not very high. My profit was $16.80, which is fine. You know, I made a little bit of money on it, and it went to an old friend who was so happy to have it. So that's my story on my little bell. Okay, the last two items sold to the same person. She is a repeat customer. So with all my repeat customers on Etsy, they get a 15% coupon when they return to buy something in the store. So this repeat customer bought this little sweet pot. I just lowered the price. Like, I'd had it for a while and I kept thinking, why is this not selling? It's such a great piece. Anyway, I looked at the price and I clearly was a little excited about it when I first put it on. So I lowered the price, of course, immediately. I would say immediately, but a couple days later it sold. Really cool, like fun texture and just like vibrant blue. And I love blues and browns. I just think they're so cool. I can't remember if it's signed. It is signed. I don't know who the artist is. You can kind of see it. Anyway, just a sweet piece. And then she also bought this little guy. It is a wood sculpture that actually I've had this for a while too. I may have lowered the price. Maybe that's why it just sold. You can sort of see in here. Oh, okay. Like here, I think it's like a little gnome. Like, can you see him right there? Like, there's his hat, there's his face, there's his little arm. When I first saw it at the estate sale, I didn't see that. And when I brought it up to purchase it, the person was like, oh, do you see, like, I think it's a little gnome. So kind of cute. So these sold, let's see, the pot sold for $38 and the wood sculpture sold for $55. So combined and then minus the 15% off, the total was $79.05. Then minus my fees and shipping and my cost of goods, my overall profit on that was $53.15. So I do want to say, so that's it for the week. I forgot to add it all up. I think, I don't know, it's probably close to $400, which is sort of typical for me in a week. I did do, and you'll see I did a short video. It's already been posted and you can take a quick look at that. It's only like a minute long. I did a vintage market this weekend in Tacoma at the University of Puget Sound. I'd never done this market before. I had shopped it for years and I knew the crowds were amazing. In fact, it was almost annoying as a customer because I could barely get into these booths. Well, a friend of mine, which I mentioned in my little short, Paula from Backroom Vintage, has done it for the past couple of years, encouraged me to do it. So I did it this year. It was a great show. I had so much fun. I was exhausted on Sunday. In fact, I was sort of exhausted today too. But anyway, it was a great week. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and put any comments below. Okay, I did want to come back on and say that I added up, I need to remember to do this. I added up my net profit for the week. My net profit for this week was $339. So, okay, thanks, I'm out.